What a flippin' comeback.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Wednesday, November 13th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get in on the action with a big return. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. And before we get started discussing a comeback that, let's be honest, we all needed, a quick reminder, you can find the podcast on social media at Locked NHL Bruin. And you can find me, my hockey thoughts, dad jokes, at Ian C. McLaren, gradually moving over to the Butterfly app over the X, in case anybody is wondering. I am a lifelong Boston Bruins fan. Been covering this team for various outlets for almost 20 years. I was a full-time hockey news writer for The Score and have been hosting this podcast since 2019. And if ever the Bruins needed a third period comeback like we saw last night, it was this exact moment. And it was as unlikely of a comeback as you will possibly ever see. Well, let's dial that back a bit. Obviously, it's going to be tough to top. It was 4-1, but you know what I'm saying. These Bruins desperately needed this kind of effort. We've seen recent third period performances where they just quite literally disappeared, and it was the exact opposite here last night in St. Louis, facing a 2-0 deficit heading into the third period. They got a much-needed goal from Morgan Geekie, his first of the season, to kind of instill some belief back in this team. Charlie McAvoy ended a lengthy goal streak with his third of the season about 4 minutes later. And then David Pastrnak finishing off a frenetic offensive zone cycle with a one-timer past Jordan Binnington with less than 2 minutes remaining in the third period. His 7th goal of the season, his first in 8 games, to give the Bruins the comeback win, taking both points from the Blues, and just could not have been more needed. The Bruins were 7-0 this season when trailing after 2 periods. They've been outscored 16-5 in the third period, and the Bruins finally were able to get it done, finishing the comeback. And David Pastrnak, look, your best players have to be your best players in order to win, especially on this team where depth is a bit of an issue up front. And the puck bounced to McAvoy, who got it over to Pastrnak. He was able to bury it. And Pastrnak afterwards said, the Bruins just stayed patient. They felt good after 2 periods. Even though they hadn't scored, you could feel that there was the belief. And they were one bounce away because they did have chances early on. Jordan Binnington played really well on the other end. And the Bruins still had the mindset that they could be successful if they stuck with their game. And, of course, if they did not have another 0 shot on goal period as they'd had the other night against the Ottawa Senators. The Blues were 5-0 this season when leading after 2 periods. Morgan Geekie, who had been a healthy scratch the past 3 games, comes in, gets the goal off a turnover forced by David Pastrnak. It was a 2-on-1. He buried it. And obviously that felt good for Geekie to get that first goal of the season at a huge moment. And the whole effort, Jim Montgomery said, was galvanizing. You could tell the energy in the room after the game. They had a lot of energy in the morning heading into this one. The players were excited to play. He thought they were going to be good, and they did start the game well, but the Blues did score a couple nice power play goals in the second. That's still an issue for this team. The Bruins fell behind, but they talked about staying with it for 60 minutes and playing the right way. Even though they made a couple mistakes in the third, still, you're going to make mistakes, but they kept battling, Montgomery said. They got to the goal line. They got some greasy goals. The last one was a nice goal, but if you look at McAvoy's goal, that shot was beautiful. Second and third effort league, and that's what they have talked about. Huge for the Boston Bruins to get these 2 points on the road, trailing 2-0 heading into the third. And, if they had not won last night, then the vibe would be much different here this morning. But they were able to erase, again, they were 0-7-0 when trailing after 2 periods. They had scored just 5 third-period goals all year, allowing 16. And last night, they flipped that script, scored 3 third-period goals to get the victory. And wow, that is the primary storyline from last night. We cannot disregard the fact that defenseman Hampus Lindholm left the game with a lower body injury after blocking a shot from Justin Falk at 4:34 of the first period. Jim Montgomery said after the game that the team would know more today. The Bruins are already without Andrew Peeke, who is week to week with an injury. Unless he can recover quickly, the Bruins will have to call someone up because they're down to 5 defensemen at the moment. They aren't carrying any extra skaters on the trip, with Matt Poitras having been sent down. And because they'll have less than 18 healthy players, they could make a call up on an emergency basis, according to league rules. So we may see a defenseman. Well, we will see it, likely a defenseman called up for tomorrow night's game against the Dallas Stars. Who those candidates could be? Well, if you look at the Providence Bruins roster at the moment, you see that their highest or their best performing defenseman at the moment is, Jordan Oesterle. He's got 8 points in 9 games. He's got some NHL experience. So I would expect that either he or perhaps Ian Mitchell would be recalled. Mitchell's got 6 points in 11 games. Oesterle with 8 points in 9 games. So one of those two guys will likely be recalled here on Wednesday or Thursday in advance of tomorrow night's game against the Stars. Hopefully the prognosis on Lindholm is not terrible, because he's arguably been Boston's best defenseman this season. Maybe not even arguable. He has been Boston's best defenseman this season. They can ill afford to be without him for too long here. But the big story, of course, Morgan Geekie spurring on the comeback, playing for the first time in 4 games. He had some extra juice, and his goal really energized this team. First of the season, and the Bruins were able to take it from there and complete the comeback. Huge effort from him. Message received. He made good on it. McAvoy, Pastrnak coming up clutch with the other 2 goals in the third to get the 2 points. These 2 teams will play again on Saturday. And later this week, I'm planning to be joined by the host of Locked On Blues to discuss last night's game, tee up Saturday's game. So look forward to that. Coming up as the podcast continues, we'll take a look at some more key stats and some signals to take away from this game. And we'll touch on that here as the podcast continues. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code NHL. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code NHL and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code NHL. A minimum purchase may apply. In sports, winning is everything, and that's why you always need a good strategy to keep you moving toward the goal line. Winning strategies for life are just as important, and that's why on my team, I have life insurance through Select Quote to protect my legacy and my financial future for my family. Select Quote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. These policies are more affordable than you think. You can get coverage for up to $1 million for as little as $20 a month. Head to selectquote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. Again, let's go to selectquote.com/lockedonnhl today to get started. That's selectquote.com/lockedonnhl. At Select Quote, they shop and you save. All right, let's look at some key stats from last night's game between the Boston Bruins and the St. Louis Blues. One of those key stats, of course, is shots on goal. In the third period, the Bruins, again, they were coming off an effort in which they recorded 0 shots on goal through the entire third period, 1 in overtime against the Ottawa Senators. Last night against the Blues, they had 9 in the first, 10 in the second, and 11 in the third. They allowed only 6 to the Blues in the first period, 8 in the second, and 8 in the third for a 30-22 advantage overall. So key for the Bruins to rebound from that effort against the Senators with a game in which they kept getting better as the game went on. In all situations, the Bruins had 58% of the shot attempts, 57.7% of the shots, 60% of the scoring chances, 61.5% of the high danger chances, and expected goals in this one were 4 to 1.82. So the Bruins definitely deserve to win this game. And thankfully, they were able to pull it off on Jordan Binnington and company. Now, on the flip side, you could look at it and say the Bruins should not have had this much trouble with this St. Louis Blues team. It's a team that's playing without a couple of their better players in Robert Thomas. Philip Broberg is out of the lineup. But still, you have to get the job done each and every night. There are no nights off in today's NHL. And thankfully, again, the Bruins were able to get it done. Now, they did take 3 penalties, and they allowed the Blues to score on 2 of them. So the penalty kill still clearly an issue for this team. They did not allow a goal in 5-on-5 in last night's game, but of course, they did give up the 2 power play goals, which is a problem that needs to be rectified sooner than later. If you look at the overall team stats in the NHL, and teams like traditionally the Bruins are a top 5 team when it comes to penalty kill. Right now, they are what is it? Where are the Bruins on the penalty kill here at the moment? It's not great. We'll say that. The Bruins, why is it not? Oh, here we go. Penalty kill. The Bruins are 26th in the NHL with a 73.6% success rate killing penalties. Not great at all. The Bruins were not able to score on the power play in last night's game. Their power play is currently ranked 32nd in the NHL, so dead last at the moment. So the special teams, not great at all for the Bruins, and this is an area that they really do need to clean up. When it comes to individual stats, David Pastrnak, again, he was benched recently, hadn't scored in 8 games. He came through with a massive effort. The Bruins had 30 shots on goal. Pastrnak himself had 10 of those shots. 24 and a half minutes of ice time, 4 more than the next highest forward, who is Pavel Zacha, who continued a point streak. He had an assist in this game. But David Pastrnak just had a monster game. The takeaway to set up the 2-on-1 that led to Morgan Geekie's goal. And then, of course, the game-winning goal past Jordan Binnington, which was massive. Charlie McAvoy played 25 minutes of ice time. Again, Hampus Lindholm left. He only played about 8 minutes and 17 seconds. Hopefully he's able to be back in the lineup sooner than later. But McAvoy with some heavy lifting, followed by Zadorov. Carlo had almost 22 minutes. Lohrei with almost 19 minutes. Witherspoon, 17 minutes and 20 seconds of ice time. Lohrei had no shots, no blocks in this one. You'd like to see him get the puck on net a bit more, but he was instrumental in helping set up the game-winning goal, despite the fact that he did not have an assist. And it's notable that he was on the ice for that one and finished with a +2 if you care about those stats. Jeremy Swayman made 20 saves on 22 shots for a .909 save percentage. A lot has been made of his early season struggles. He did not give up a 5-on-5 goal. His season save percentage is now at .896, which is by far the lowest single season save percentage of his career. Previous to this year, he hadn't had a save percentage lower than .914. So he really needs to get going. But, of course, the overall team defense is, I talked about it coming into this season. The Bruins said it doesn't matter, or a lot of people said it doesn't matter who the goalie is. The Bruins defense is so good that any goalie will be able to withstand that. The Bruins rank 22nd in shot attempt differential at 5-on-5. When it comes to shot differential, 5-on-5, the Bruins rank 25th. And if we're looking at all situations, we know the Bruins have taken so many penalties this season. Shot differential, 5-on-5, in all situations, the Bruins rank 20th at the moment. And that's in all situations. Their save percentage in all situations at the moment, the Bruins rank 17th traditionally, or the last few years with Ullmark and Swayman. They were up in the top 3. So that's an area that, kind of needs to improve. We'll see if they go to Swayman for tomorrow's game in Dallas, kind of a showdown between 2 potential Four Nations Cup goalies in Swayman and Jake Ottinger, or if they continue with the actually, it probably will be Korpisalo because Swayman has made the past 2 starts. So those are some of the key stats you need to know. The Bruins, more shots each period, which was great. 1 for 3 on the penalty kill, not as great. Swayman with the .909 save percentage to raise it a bit. Pastrnak with the 10 shots on goal, very huge. And we'll take a look at some more signals to take away from this game here as the podcast continues. Tackle this week's NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win on that first $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. When you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And you can, of course, get in on the action with respect to the NBA and the NHL as well. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You can get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, what trends, signals can we take away from last night's game against the Bruins? Well, last night's win over the Blues. Hopefully, as Jim Montgomery said, it is a galvanizing moment for this team. The vibes have been kind of up and down lately, but if you look at the Bruins' recent performances, you see that they are perhaps trending upward. Now, the game the other night against the Senators was a real, how should we say it? Real crap show, to put it family friendly, especially with the goals or no shots in the third period. But overall, the Bruins have been amassing points, which is key. They've won 4 of their last 6 games and 2 of their past 3. So hopefully they're able to keep this going. Now that's the key. A lot of it has been one step forward, one step back. We need them to keep the gas down at the moment so that they can build on this and make up some ground here in the Atlantic Division, get back into the top 4. Right now, by way of point percentage, they are still in 5th with a -11 goal differential. The numbers overall aren't great, but hopefully guys are getting more acclimated to the system and things are starting to fall in place a little bit. Now, of course, the Hampus Lindholm injury really throws a wrench in that. He has been this team's best defenseman. If he's out for a significant amount of time, then the vibes will certainly be back to not great at all. And let's check the AHL transactions page here, see if there's any updates. But I would assume that either Jordan Osterley or Ian Mitchell will be recalled for tomorrow night's game against the Dallas Stars. And the Stars, of course, are a very good team. We'll preview that game on tomorrow's episode, but they're third place team in the Central, one of the deepest teams in the NHL. So that is not going to be an easy one before they head home to take on the Blues once again on Saturday afternoon. The penalty kill, like I've said, continues to struggle. That is an area that needs to improve. They're really missing, Jake DeBrusk specifically in that role. He was one of their top penalty killers, and you could argue they have not sufficiently replaced him, and that's really unfortunate. Now, Lindholm, his loss is big, not just because he's been the best player or best defenseman for the Bruins this season, but he had also just been promoted to the team's first power play unit. So the power play has been struggling. They had turned to him to help turn that around. And with him out of the lineup, then not only will he be hurting, or the team will be hurting defensively, but they'll also not have that that extra weapon on the power play as well. So that could be a real problem for the Bruins, especially against a team like the Dallas Stars. Hopefully we'll get an update if there is anything official I will post that on the YouTube channel later on today because that's obviously something to keep an eye on here on Wednesday. Hampus Lindholm's long-term status here. That could really be, an area where that could really hurt. So, huge comeback for the Bruins. Hopefully it's a galvanizing moment. There's still concerns about the power play, with the power play and the penalty kill. Power play, dead last in the NHL. Penalty kill, bottom quarter of the NHL. And without Lindholm, that will be an issue. So as important as this win was for the Bruins, and we hope it'll be a moment where it brings them together, shows what they can do, give Morgan Geekie some confidence. David Pastrnak steps up as the team's best player in a huge moment. Then hopefully, yes, things can improve. However, if Lindholm's out for any length of time, then that will be a major issue. So keep an eye on that. Keep it locked to Locked On Boston Bruins for all the latest. I'll update on the YouTube channel for sure. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat today. Crazy times around the world, personally, but we keep trucking here on Locked On Bruins because that's what we do, your team every single day. Please do check out Locked On Fantasy next. You'll get all the tips from Steal and Flip to win your week. And please do subscribe on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube if you have not already, because it's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Do take care of yourselves, friends. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you again here tomorrow, where we will preview the Stars game and do our weekly cup check, bring you all the latest on the black and gold here on Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.